Chapter 1. Mr. Lockwood, a tenant at Thrushcross Grange, visits his landlord, Heathcliff, at Wuthering Heights. Lockwood becomes trapped at the house due to a snowstorm and is forced to spend the night there. Chapter 2. Lockwood has a nightmare and is awakened by a ghostly presence in his room. He discovers that the presence belongs to Catherine Earnshaw, who died many years ago. Chapter 3. Lockwood becomes curious about the history of Wuthering Heights and asks his housekeeper, Nellie Dean, to tell him the story. She begins by recounting the arrival of Heathcliff as a young orphan boy. Chapter 4. Nellie continues her story, describing how Heathcliff was treated poorly by Hindley, the son of Mr. Earnshaw, but became close with Catherine. Chapter 5. Nellie recounts the events leading up to Catherine's marriage to Edgar Linton, including her falling ill and her conflicted feelings for Heathcliff. Chapter 6. After Catherine marries Edgar, Heathcliff disappears for several years. When he returns, he is a wealthy and vengeful man, seeking to destroy those who have wronged him. Chapter 7. Heathcliff becomes close with Edgar's sister, Isabella, and manipulates her into marrying him in order to exact revenge on the Linton family. Chapter 8. Nellie describes Heathcliff's mistreatment of Isabella and her eventual escape from him. She also recounts Catherine's death and Heathcliff's subsequent descent into madness. Chapter 9. Nellie continues her story, describing how Hindley dies and Heathcliff becomes the owner of Wuthering Heights. Chapter 10. Lockwood returns to Thrushcross Grange and continues to ask Nellie for information about the past. She tells him about the arrival of Catherine's daughter, also named Catherine. Chapter 11. Nellie describes Heathcliff's treatment of Catherine and his obsession with her. She also recounts the arrival of a young man named Hareton, who is the son of Hindley. Chapter 12. Heathcliff's plan for revenge begins to unravel as Catherine and Hareton develop a relationship. He becomes increasingly disturbed and begins to see visions of Catherine. Chapter 13. Heathcliff's health deteriorates and he becomes increasingly isolated. Catherine and Hareton continue to bond and Nellie begins to hope for a happy ending. Chapter 14. Lockwood returns to Wuthering Heights and discovers that Heathcliff has died. He attends the funeral and meets Hareton and the younger Catherine. Chapter 15. The novel concludes with Nellie recounting how Catherine and Hareton fell in love and married, bringing an end to the cycle of revenge and tragedy that had plagued the families for generations.